Like, you're gonna seriously sit there with your whole head ass and tell me that is not an indigenous nose? Those are not indigenous lips? Seriously? If his skin was slightly lighter and he had bone straight hair, you wouldn't question for a second if he was indigenous. But because he's dark and because he has a strong curl type, you only see him as black and you can't see him as anything else.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you're new here then just welcome. My name is Achila Yona, and today I want to talk about these fake Indian tribes. Now throughout the years, foreigners have been exposed for selling fake Indian packets. Now I know in the Aboriginal American community, some folks have been doxxed for selling fake Indian packets, and I want to remind my audience for a second. This is not okay on any level, no matter if a Moor does it, a Mestizo Mexican does it, a Pale European does it, or an African does it, or an Aboriginal American does it. It's not okay either way. Okay? I don't like this behavior. I don't tolerate this behavior, and it's very unacceptable. But I do notice when it comes to people of lighter skin tone, or they just a pale person, a pale European entirely, or if they share the same genetic makeup with reservation natives, it's not as strong punishment, or it's not extreme racial profiling or extreme derogatory words they are being called for engaging in this behavior. Okay, and I really want to talk about this because in these two cases, these people got caught up selling fake Indian memberships to illegal immigrants, right? Undocumented immigrants. So I want y'all to read over the screenshots concerning Malcolm Weber, the first case, and this was back in 2007, but I don't think a lot of people are really talking about this. I rarely even hear the natives speak about this, and I know it was such a long time ago, but I want to talk about why they don't really focus on this or really talk about this. So I want y'all to read over these screenshots, and I'm going to come back with further commentary. So y'all have read over the screenshots, and honestly, I don't see how these undocumented immigrants were not being charged for engaging in fraudulent behavior. Now, it does say Carmen Zamora gave out her testimony and was telling people about Sam Walters is the name of the person who Weber claimed was his boss. But however, they couldn't find such person. And according to the U.S. government, between 10,000 and 15,000 people, they were paying for these memberships, and the cost ranged from $50 to $1,000. Y'all, this is insane. This is insane. And according to Sylvester, the legal affairs reporter for the Wichita Eagle, he says In a testimony on Friday, August 8th, he, Weber, told people from Mexico they were descendants from Indian tribes that were run out of the country, and so they deserve to be here more than anybody else. I think that plays into what people want to hear. The Hispanic community feels victimized. The allegations are that this office, Korea Indian Nation, was going to Spanish-speaking churches and recruiting members. I find that highly interesting, given that the Native community is always yelling to the high heavens how Mexicans are indigenous and how they have more indigenous blood than anybody else, but yet these undocumented Mexicans had to engage in fraudulent activities just to be recognized as an American Indian. And not only that, but the tribe doesn't even exist though. It's not even recognized. So this just plays right into the lies that these people spread around the block about how mestizo Mexicans are indigenous, because it goes further on to say it is such a strange case. There is a lot of disbelief in the community. Yeah, there's a lot of disbelief in the communities, because if it's not the Abos or the Wabos involved in it, then it's, oh my God, how can these light-skinned people get into this type of mess? Easy, because they wanted U.S. citizenship. They wanted that status. And furthermore, let's be honest, these people know that they are going to gain some type of favorability when they come into the United States and engage in this type of behavior with the Native community, because there are some natives that be like, oh, well, this is not okay. There are going to be other natives that's going to be like, well, they are indigenous anyway, so it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter, because if you have smoke for darker skinned American people who identify with their indigenous tribes, and also they have documentation of coming from that tribe as well, they never want to be accepting towards them. They never want to sit there open arms. They want to sit there and talk about how they're too dark, how their hair texture is African, and so on and so forth. But when it's people that look like them, when it's people that share the same genetic makeup like them, which is mixed white people, they are ready to open arms and accept them into their tribes, their organization. Hell, there's even an organization here in Texas that's talking about how Mexicans are indigenous too. So it's no surprise that they engaged in this fraudulent type of behavior. So the article continues to say, according to testimony, memberships increased when the Spanish-speaking Zamora joined the office in spring of 2007. So that makes a lot of sense, though. That makes a lot of sense, because if you're able to bring someone in the tribe, well, in this case, this fake tribe that can speak the same language as the people you trying to recruit, and they look like them too, oh yeah, the memberships are definitely going to increase. But the fact is, these people, they were making $30,000 a day. $30,000 a day. That's insane. This is insane. So when they seized that $300,000 from that tribal bank account, that was equivalent of 10 days worth of new memberships. So my thing is, where's the rest of the money though? Well, where's that at? Who's keeping that though? Because I don't believe they just had $300,000 in that bank account, because they said that they seized $13,000 in cash, but there has to be more money than that. And I'm pretty sure people are not snitching. They ain't trying to snitch. They trying to keep it intact as much as possible, you know. But furthermore, it says people were actually coming from California and driving to Wichita to try and find the Korea Indian Nation and apply for membership. As far as we know, nobody was ever turned away who paid their money, Sylvester said. I have been to the reservation. It's a rented office building. Oh my God, bro. Oh my God. And it says the tribe allegedly talked about purchasing 1,000 acres in Colorado to use as a reservation. Evidently, that never got done. And I'm glad it hasn't. I'm glad it hasn't, because this is just fraudulent behavior. And just imagine if this was so-called Black American people. Just imagine if this was the Africans, right? This would be all over the news. We would not stop hearing about it. Okay, if this was darker people, right? People of darker skin hue, we would never hear the end about it. Okay. I also want to point out how this is not his first go around doing stuff like this. Weber has a history going back to the early 1980s, according to the Interior Department documents. Allegedly, he and the KIN have been selling tribal memberships for $10 and had claimed ownership of a small town in Arizona, telling tribal members they could build on vacant lots without owner approval. That sounds familiar, right? Huh? Let's continue. Residents of this small Arizona town were also allegedly told by Weber they could not buy or sell property without prior approval of the KIN. Then in June 1982, Weber was arrested for touchy and spent a year in jail. This is disgusting, despicable, and very disingenuous for this man to do. And people following him, like, oh my God, like this is just so wrong. This is so wrong. But yet, just imagine if he was a so-called Black man, an African man, a melanated American man. We would never hear the end of this, y'all. We would never hear the end of it. Even if it was back in 2007, we would never hear the end of it. However, there is a lack of videos. Actually, I have not found none of this man. This is just wrong. This is just wrong. And like I said, it doesn't matter if a pale person does it, a melanated American person does it, an African does it, a mestizo does it, a native does it. It's wrong on all levels. You are selling people a dream. And this is just not okay. But however, people rarely want to talk about how they are using illegal immigrants to make and build fake Indian tribes. But yet these are the people that are most likely going to tell us to take a DNA ancestry test to prove that we are indigenous. That's most likely, because I wouldn't be surprised if they was able to get bigger and they were actually allowed to buy that 1,000 acres in Colorado to use as a reservation. I wouldn't be surprised if they would use a DNA ancestry test to accept people in their fake and fraudulent tribe, which would even make it even more fraudulent. Like, you really just can't make this stuff up. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next news story revolving around illegal immigrants using fake Indian tribes to gain some type of status in the United States or gain U.S. citizenship in the United States. So I'm going to show y'all this audio clip and I'm going to come back with further commentary.
A victim in a 2014 fraud case is looking for answers. She wants to know if she'll ever get her money back and if her husband will gain legal status. She's part of a larger group who were taken advantage of by 3 people claiming to be from the Yamasee Indian tribe. The trio took advantage of people who entered the country illegally. They promised legal status if they became a member of the tribe. This, if they paid them money. Channel 5's Angelo Vargas is in the studio with where the case is now.
2 of the 3 were found guilty and are already making payments to the federal government. The money will go back to the hundreds of people who fell for this trap. One family says the cash doesn't matter. It was the promise to be here legally. We found out their options are limited.
We paid them.
The Ayala Gonzalez family is desperate.
With my job, that's how we manage. That's how we've been managing and taking care of my kids, paying bills.
Belinda Ayala Gonzalez is doing what she can to provide for her 3 children and husband. She is also dealing with her own health issues.
I've been paraplegic since I was 5 years old. I have scoliosis and a number of things.
In 2014-2015, they met Roberto Reveles, who claimed to be the chief of the Yamasee Indian tribe. He promised Gonzalez legal status if they became members of the tribe. They paid him $1,000.
Because I wanted so bad to get his papers, and we believed. I'm like, well, you never know. Maybe that's your chance.
The tribe is not recognized by the United States. We met the Gonzaleses last year. Gonzales was living in the shadows due to his status. The couple is still afraid.
Todavía me ando escondiendo de todo, de la policía, del Border Patrol, del Estado, de todo, porque ahorita todos están llamando, si te pescan ya están llamando a migración si no traes una clase de documento.
Court documents show they are part of a restitution payees list. It shows the hundreds of other victims. Gonzales says they want their money back, most importantly for her husband to be legal.
Generally, the people that get scammed have entered the United States without documents. They call it entry without inspection. They're not eligible to get any benefits while they are in the United States because they entered illegally.
Immigration attorney Leonel Perez explains their options are limited.
They can petition for the husband or wife and make sure that they're not excludable on any of the grounds, and they will get a green card.
Gonzales says they feel betrayed.
To be honest, people that don't even have the money gave them money from anywhere to be able to get their papers. And I understand them, and because I understand what I'm going through. And I understand that he wants to help us, but there's no way.
She says they learned a lesson by taking a risk. Now they want to try and pursue their right to stay in the United States the legal way. This case is still ongoing. The next hearing for the third person involved is scheduled for May. In the Channel 5 News studio, Angelo Vargas, Channel 5 News at 6.
So y'all have seen by the video, and look, you just cannot make this up. Like, how they gonna sit here and claim that we over here taking over their tribes and they over here faking like they Yamasee? And I've been trying to look for these two people pictures, Herberto Reveles and Maria Lerma, but I cannot find their pictures anywhere. And I did find this one picture, but I didn't want to add it to the video because I'm not 100% sure that's even Humberto to begin with. But I just think it's very funny how people love to say, oh, these abos and wabos are taking the culture, they taking over the identity, they taking what's ours and blah, blah, blah. But yet here they are selling fake memberships of Yamasee Nation, Yamasee tribe. When it's obvious just by the names, you can tell that these are mestizo Mexicans doing this. Because Yamasee is a real tribe. And Yamasee Nation was one of the first nations to even have a reservation in the United States. So I think this is really, really, really messed up of how they went about this. Because now when people look at Yamasee Nation, they go, oh, that's a fake tribe. Oh, look at that. Oh, they were fake for selling fake Indian tribal memberships. And look, these are Negroes over here pretending to be indigenous. Blah, blah. This is just insane. And I get that these people want to come over and have a better life and things of that nature. But you don't join an Indian tribe to do that. Like, you just don't. Like, this is not okay. No matter if the Moors do it, the Aboriginals of America selling fake Indian tribal packets, or even the mestizo Mexicans do it, it's not okay either way. It's just not. And this is why it's so hard for you melanated Aboriginals of America to reclaim what is ours, because it's so many people trying to take over our identity or make fake tribes that hurt us in the process. One thing I want to point out is, notice how they're calling these illegal immigrants fraud victims. Because let's say, for example, that this was a group of African immigrants doing stuff like this. Just imagine the slander, the name calling, the racial slurs they will be called if they did what these illegal immigrants are doing. Just imagine. Like, I swear, like, it's so one-sided. Because one thing for sure, they would not be calling them no fraud victims. And that's just is what it is. And this man talking about, oh, I'm still hiding from everyone, the police, border patrol, the state, from everything, because they are all calling. Yeah, they should. They should. You sit here and had your wife put in money towards something that was fraudulent, knowing that you were even from that tribe to begin with. And look, no shade to the white Hispanics or mestizo Hispanics. They could be really cool people, but in this particular instance, I don't think this was cool. It's not cool. It's unacceptable. And to top it off, I want to know why they're not being charged for engaging in fraudulent activity like this. Like, I understand that they're less privileged. I understand they already having a hard time. But if you already know this is not the way to go, if you already know you are not from this tribe or nation, why are they not being charged for engaging in fraudulent activity like this? Like, this is what I really want to know. And this is why I think I'm going to do a part 2 of this video, because it's so much to cover, but I don't want to make this video longer than what it already is. So that's all I have to say about this video. I really don't want to make it long, and I'm really flabbergasted. And I don't care if this was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it still need to be talked about, because people love to point the finger at Aboriginals of America and say, oh, well, y'all faking this and that and the third, but no one don't really want to point out to the pale Europeans and the mestizos that are also indulging in this fraudulent behavior. So if you're going to call it out all the way. Just don't call it out when it's someone that don't look like you. Call it out because it's not right to begin with. So that's all I have to say for now. Thank y'all guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, and if you haven't, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell button on notifications to get notified when I upload a new video. Thanks again for watching, and until the next time, bye.